Okay, we are on Synchronic Lines Q and A's, and then you guys have the different names, and then you can yell them out, and I'll read them so that I keep the flow going, and then you guys can just answer out the questions when I go, okay, that's a blank. What's the answer? Okay.
Synchronic Lines.
Wait. No. That's not the first one. Wait, let me read it. Wait. Or were you just making fun of me because that's the title of the thing? Okay. So, oh, sorry guys, let me stop that. Okay. So, in synchronic lines are the intergalactic network. It's a communication web, and it's actually and it's made of, question, what is it made of? Energy. They're energy currents that transport energy, information, especially relating to life forms. Where there is life, there are synchronic lines. They link star systems to one another, the sun to the planets, where there are life forms or soon to be life forms, have synchronic lines. Planets, Earth, are wrapped up by the synchronic lines. On Earth, Earth has how many lines?
18.
Yes, 9. Oh, I'll give you the answer. 9 vertical and 9 horizontal. Yes, good job. The vertical lines meet at the South and North Pole, and then they meet together at one point and they go off to the sun together, okay? The horizontal ones are the circles around the planet. The horizontal ones, Krautolo, I asked him this question. In this chapter, they talked about a sphere that's at the center of the Earth. And what Krautolo said is that all of these horizontal synchronic lines are going to the central sphere at the center of the Earth. And it appears that this sphere, that's what it appears like in astral travel, is also an entry point for the Grail. Like it looks like big energies come through this point in the middle of the Earth. That was one of the questions I had asked him about the synchronic lines, because it wasn't clear in the book. So that's what they are. So they're really a web. They are different than portals. That was also another question I asked Krautolo, and I said, is a portal the same thing as a synchronic lines? When they went to Atlantis, they entered a portal. He goes, they're two different things. Portals are actually physical. They're physical in their appearance. Synchronic lines are pure energetic rivers. So you need to reach them differently than you need to reach portals. Portals, when they open, I guess you just walk in and go. Synchronic lines, you have to do some other things with them. And I think he talked about portal being the Bermuda Triangle, when these doors open and people just disappear. So there are two different things. Portals are portals. Synchronic lines are energy rivers you don't see. Portals are physical. You see them, or if not see them, but they're very, you access them like entering a door, not the synchronic lines. And synchronic lines we're talking about because they're very important. You know, if we don't have synchronic lines, like thoughts, there's no life forms. Okay, they are like the, you know, the little vascular system that nourish the system in order for it to have life and nourishment to sustain itself. So that is the little bit of the information on what they are in a nutshell. And now let's find out what are the elements that are transported in these energetic synchronic lines. So the information that is transported is information of Earth's life forms and their evolution. plus that of all the other alien worlds. So all the information of life forms, the revolution, is carried in these synchronic lines, all that data. All the deceased beings are carried in the synchronic lines. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. I think Krotolo said that 2 times a year at the solstice, the synchronic lines open and the souls are able to exit the threshold and travel on the synchronic lines.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Got it? Okay, good. Let me finish this, and then if you guys want something else to add something else, we can add it. So deceased beings, we've got information of all life forms, deceased beings, and then this is the fun stuff. This is the energy stuff. They carried the energy of the synchronic law. So these laws, all the 8 derivative laws, have an energy to them. And the particular one that travels on the synchronic lines, and I wonder if that's why they call them synchronic lines, because it's synchronic energy as a main one that's in there. Also the fall of neutral event, but I think the synchronic energy, the synchronic law energy is one of the biggest element there. And divine energies, they don't define it, but divine energies travel on the synchronic lines. So they're really important. They bring a lot of the nutrients that we need to sustain life in there. Now, that's what they transport. Now, what do they look like and how do you know where they are? So they are invisible, they are pure energy. You can see them in astral travels. You can get a clue by a couple of things. The morphology of the land can tell you that there is a synchronic line. Usually there's rivers. I think also big mountains, but I'm not sure. Guys, have you heard that also? Okay. And the other thing, they can also be above or underneath the earth. And one of the main things, if you look at what happens in an area, especially if you have a lot of inventions, especially if you have important events, old civilizations, important civilization, important structures, pyramid, Machu Picchu's, that's a good clue that there is this very nourishing energy that sustains this kind of higher evolution in those areas or bigger advancements. So those are clues. They talk also about the Egyptian pyramids, the Tibetan and Greek temples, the Mayan structures, the Aztecs and Incas, the Nazca lines, Stonehenge. Has anybody here seen the Nazca lines? No, that's a trip. One of the trips I want to try and organize, possibly with Gurak, maybe, is, or Krotolo will see, is Peru.
Is that where those lines are?
The Nazca lines are in
Peru?
Yeah, the Nazca line, the Nazca lines, look them up, Chacha. So
Okay.
they are engravements in the rock of huge outlines of very specific designs. It's very geometric. It's almost like hieroglyphics, but modern hieroglyphics. And the incredible thing is that the designs can only be seen from high up because they're massive.
Oh.
They're massive.
Yeah, they're miles long.
They're miles long, yeah? Eva, did you see them?
No,
No.
I did. I went to Cusco, but they're in the center somewhere. And it doesn't, you have to take a plane to see it.
So that's the incredible thing about the Nazca lines. How did they, you know, like it's scratched, it's engraved in the stones, you know, and it's miles long. So that's a good sign. Now, the synchronic lines do move, but very slowly, very slowly. So if at that time there was these civilizations, it's very likely they're not, they've moved, but maybe not too far. They're still in the general area. Now, the physical dimension of these energy lines they're big. They can be up to 2 kilometers long by like almost 1 kilometer, 900 meters round. So they're huge. They're very big. Inside of them, they have energy running side by side in opposite directions. I would like to do some astral travel and see them. I mean, I first have to learn how to astral travel, but we can do that. No problem. I'm gonna figure that. Does anybody here know how to astral travel?
Not me.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Lena, we're working on
I have
that.
a friend who does.
Who?
I have a friend who does.
You have to ask her to go check these things out for us.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. The guy, yeah.
Yeah. They carry energy that can absorb. So they carry energy that we can absorb and we can use in magical technologies, and we're going to see that today. And they have synchronic energies, the energy that comes from the law. And this is the key. And this one I left blank. You guys have to use your heads and see if you can figure it out. You can insert blank that influences things that happen in and around the lines. You can insert information. So this is why they're important. Anybody who controls them controls what gets put in them, and what gets put in them gets diffused everywhere. My first time in Damanhur, when they were taking me to the airport, I was with Squallo, and I said to him, "What are these things?" I mean, I had heard all these concepts. I said, "What is this synchronic lines?" He goes, "Well, we were playing a game, and in the game, we put on the board game a yellow piano. One of the pieces of the game was a yellow piano." And he goes, 2 days later, there was a big Italian concert on TV that they were watching, and there the piano came out and it was yellow. So that's what being close to a synchronic line allows you to do. You get to put information in the stream that then gets diffused everywhere. Think of it as the blood system, really. I think the blood system of the universe, you know? So it's a nice analogy. So synchronic lines also guide evolution. And the important thing is a synchronic line increase the energy of a place. The closer you are, the higher the energy. That's why there's more potential for things to happen around them. And because you're close to the synchronic knots, and I will explain that, and the greater the energy. So the more synchronic lines meet in a place, these are called synchronic knots, the greater the energy. So the more influence and the more important things can happen in this place. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how important they are. We'll see a little bit more later. And then how do you access them? Dun, 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 dun. So you access them first by, first you have to find where two of them meet. You have to find a physical knot. And you cannot, the example Crotolo said is think of the synchronic lines as the highway. So you cannot just get on a highway directly. You've got to take a secondary entrance into it. The synchronic lines are the same because they're quite big. So you cannot enter it directly. You have to find the knot where the two lines meet. And once you've located that, then you have to find the minor lines that come from it. And then to access into it, you need to have certain tools. You can't, like a portal that you can just walk into, synchronic line is energetic, you need tools to enter it. So one of the tools, okay, so these were some of the questions. Okay, so the first question is, okay, so first, sorry guys, so first you have to find the synchronic knot, a physical point where blank or more lines meet. Where?
Two.
Yes. Around this will be question mark.
Minor lines.
Yes. Since you cannot access the major lines directly, the minor lines are your only entry. So there you go. And then you access the minor lines by, if it's at the surface, you use a technological device. If it's underneath the earth, you use a subterranean structure, i.e., that's why the Temple of Humankind, it wasn't just for fun. It's because they are accessing synchronic lines. And just above the ground, you would use a temple, a tower, a steeple. So a lot of the ancient civilizations or anybody who's done these structures, that's what they're trying to tap into. Those who know. Now it's important to give you a history of this web that has been, what's been going on around the synchronic lines for our planet. Okay, so this is a little bit of history. So in the 70s, the synchronic lines were completely under enemy occupation. So they controlled what was going in there. They controlled the extraction of energy. They controlled them. In 1970s to the 80s, Falco completed the mapping of the synchronic lines through astral travel and his other means. And he gave the value to each of the different lines, and he also gave their energy potential. Remember that the synchronic lines are an energy source. So not only was important, they're all different, just like anything else. They're not a standard shape and size. They have different value, different energy potential. So he mapped all that. They have it. I think Krotolo showed us in his synchronic lines. He had a more detailed map. And in the 80s, on an astral travel journey, Falco followed the horizontal lines that went to the center of the Earth, where there is the semi-fluid sphere, an important point that is contacted by higher forces. So it seems like all the 8 vertical lines connect into one to the sun, and the horizontal seem to go through the sphere and out into the universe. So in 1970, they were under control. Falco was mapping this to get an idea of what to do to try and get control back. In 1975, Synchronic lines had been under enemy occupation. At this time, an important magical warfare concluded, and we were able to conquer some key positions. This is really Star Wars, eh? Like, this is unbelievable what these guys were doing, resulting in some redistribution of power in the lines. And not only can you imagine, like, we're 50 years later almost, like, looking at, can you imagine? I don't know, to even have convinced people to do this, I don't know. He must have been, like, they must have seen so much stuff that they're like, we'll do what you say. Let's go clear synchronic lines. I don't know. To me, I would have been like, yeah, okay, dude.
Alessandra, but how did they exactly do it then?
We're gonna learn. We're gonna the next chapter. We're gonna find out a little bit now, and then when we talk about the energy sources, you're gonna see. Doing alchemy or some of these other courses that they teach in Damanhur, these are really this is really passed down knowledge. We're not the only they're not the only ones to have it, but there is ways. Yeah, there's esoteric knowledge to tap into this energy. We're going to touch that today, so you're going to like that part. And so now synchronic signs. So in 1975 they got some. In 1978 they started the construction of the Temple of Humankind. The temple was connected to a shining knot of synchronic lines. That means there were 4 lines. That's the shining knot. The other one is just called a synchronic knot, but a shining knot is 4 lines meeting together. That's the only reason why they built the temple where they built it. If they needed to tap into the energy of the synchronic lines, they needed to be able to have access to the synchronic lines to put information inside. and to be able to control this network.
And travel, right? Space travel, right?
And I don't know. It's not. You can definitely. Can you? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you would enter that, or more a portal. Would you? No, I think you enter a synchronic line. Yes, yes, you do. Yeah, yeah, I would carry
Time
that.
travel, for sure.
Time travel for sure. And probably space travel. Yeah, yeah, they go to one, right, because they connect the different planets together, so you travel through them. Yes, thank you, Chacha. Yes, yes, yes. So, so the temple of humankind was built in 1978 to be close to this knot. This is where the horizontal and vertical lines meet. It's one of the most important knots on the planet. The synchronic lines were still occupied by the enemy, and it was a guerrilla operation. They were using spirals charged with high-level energy. And during this particular time, there were two different operations underway. One, to proliferate an entry into one of the synchronic lines. So remember, you need a minor line to get in, but they had to create an artificial entry point to bypass this block. So they had to proliferate the lines. And they were at the same time trying to wake up, to create, remember we talked about the divinities, the God-made divinities. They were out of control. We had lost control over these divine forces. And you're going to understand when we talk in the next chapter about energy, if you don't control these entities you create, when you leave and your body is no longer here, you have an energy that they get nourished by. Then instead of using that energy to benefit your purpose, they use it for themselves. And we had lost control of these divine forces. And they were, instead of working with the humans, they were using our energy and just forgetting about us and just worrying about their evolution, because they have to evolve as well. So they were, one of the operation when Falco came was not only to create the timeline, but to unite all these divine forces back together again, so that they were working with humanity, not against humanity, because they're very important. They are important containers. They color a lot of our experiences as well. So two operations were going on, trying to free the synchronic lines so that they could tap into the energy and they can also input information, realign all the divine forces of the planet so that we weren't getting robbed of the energy we were finally able to tap into. Okay, so these two operations were happening simultaneously. And in 1990, they got a new technology called the spherical operation, where now not only were they trying to perforate the line, but they were also, when they were able to do that, put information into the synchronic lines, even though they didn't have control of all of them, much of them. They were able with the spheres to be able to put good information in there. And what they talk about is in 1990, they were able to change the threat of nuclear war and more sensitivity towards pollution. So those were projects they were working on. They still had no control. They had just some parts of the synchronic lines, but they were able, through some of these operations in these 20 years, in the 1970s, 25 years, to be able to do something, okay, a little bit. Then in 1998 was a game changer. And they called this discovery concatenation. And I asked Coyote, I go, what is it? Well, it's talked about in a later chapter. We'll talk about it more, but basically it's really alchemy at a very technological level. So they had all these different elements they used to do these operations. And then they added this one element that all of a sudden amplified everything else. It almost, the best way he described it is, think of a magnet, and then the magnet aligns everything. And all of a sudden your output of all these elements together add up to 10. And now, because everything is magnetized, all of a sudden its output is 100, it's 1,000. They couldn't explain how it would happen. They would never have figured it out. It happened by chance. And so when they were able to use this other element in their chain of elements that they used, all of a sudden they freed 55% of the lines all at once. Just get so much force that they were able to do that. So that was in 1998, and then just 1 year later, with other other technologies they did and assistance they got from allies, other alien species, they were able to capture all the synchronic lines. And then between 1999 and 2001, they were cleaning the lines. They are constantly manning the lines. They have a lot of the personal selves that people make are for people that are in charge of managing the synchronic lines at the temple and to ward off attacks, these enemy, because the enemy is trying to get control of that, but we got control. So that's
so who's the enemy? Is the enemy on Earth, or is the enemy out there in other planets?
My coyote said that the enemy is not human. So
Not
I have to be not human. So I think it's another alien form, alien species. I think there's definitely a lot of people here that are also working for this force. But I think this particular force is an alien form that is wanting to go back to the nothingness. So they are very, it's not on the planet. There could also be, like there is black magic, or like there is satanic cults, I am sure there's also people that have this knowledge on the dark side. Remember in Turin when we were there, it was the triangle of Turin.
Yeah, the good and the bad. Turin, Prague, and Lyon was the good, and London, Turin, and San Francisco were the bad.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So I think there are probably forces here too, but I think it's coming also from higher forces, like other alien species.
But we have also mingled our DNA inadvertently. So
yes,
the battlefield is within us, each one of us.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that, and well said, Lena. I think, yeah, we have to, if we win the one internally, it will be much easier to conquer the external one. So yeah, we don't need to go do that one. We just do the internal one. Okay, and then more on how to use the lines. And the spherical dispatches, so the spheres are used to insert information. That's why also the spheres in the temple all over the place. The synchronic lines are an energy source. With the concatenation technology, we can access lines deep in the earth that before they couldn't access. And this allows them to create artificial minor lines that only hold for a little bit, because the concatenation is like a big surge of energy in an instant, and then after that it's gone. But in that instant, you got a lot of power. So they can, this just starts to touch on what the energy source can do in magic. So the concatenation allowed them now to access these synchronic knots of energy that before were inaccessible, from deep in the earth to up above our universe. And then we learned that synchronic energy is also different at different points of extraction, because now that they could, with this concatenation technology, now that they could tap into these energy sources of synchronic knots deep in the earth, synchronic knots high up, they could tell, oh wow, we get different sources of different energies from different parts of extraction. So if they go to the synchronic energy deep in the earth, it's very similar to what we have on the surface. It's just, I think they say 1,000 times stronger. So that's how they were able to do the freeing of the lines. That's why they were able to do the alignment of the triad, all the divinities together, because all of a sudden they got access to so much more energy. Then there is, this is an interesting one, telluric energy, which is linked to the intelligent forces, divinities of Hades and the demons. So these are underground. So there is in this realm very potent energy as well. And it's very explosive energy. So this is another very good source of energy. And then the other energy source is the time energy from the time vegetations. So that's cool. And then the sun is also an energy source. There's 20 different types of energies that come from the sun. And we can now also go into space with the concatenation. So the synchronic lines are really important to have under our control. And we are very blessed that they did what they did. And fascinating, eh? Guys, do you want to say something about this? Some questions?
Well, we need to access these, and we need to change this whole COVID thing. I mean, we're headed for a technocratic, like, woo, you know, we need to do something.
I know that they there are constantly doing stuff as well. One of the things I asked, you know, it's like, what are you guys doing? And he goes, well, listen, if you really look at it, we're all sitting at home. What do they call it? The couch revolution. You know, we've got food in our fridge. There's no bombs over our heads, except if you're in Lebanon, I guess, today. Oh, that's horrible. But it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. So considering what we were meant for, I think on the other timeline, we would have had a nuclear war already. So we are doing much better than we were.
Crotolo mentioned that the oracles were doing something last Sunday. So are they doing something? Are they?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do they have any insights of what is next?
No, I don't know if they have insights. I know we can ask Coyote definitely this weekend, or you on Crotolo's course. They were all, like I said to you before, they were all very excited. Not all. I spoke to Crotolo at the beginning of all this, and he was very excited. As you know, the Grail is manifesting now as disease. So the Grail is this powerful force, which was usually held always by a group of elites in the esoteric teachings, and all of a sudden the Grail is in disease and is going to touch everybody. So they were all jumping up and down saying, oh my God, this has the potential to transform everybody, whether you get the disease or not. We're all in a disease kind of, you know, stupor. So I have to say that at the beginning, they were all very excited. Now with the financial backlash is a little bit of a different story, but I think they're still you have to be optimistic. There's like, you got 600 years of this. And yeah, we're gonna do it. No, come on, guys. We didn't come here not to do this. Like, come on. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're doing it. We're doing it.
And you know, what did we say? Yeah, your question. What did we ask? And you know, we're already in. You know, we're in the past right now, so we can only do better because this is a rerun. So we're all good. We're gonna get this. And we're not alone. There was I didn't follow it too much, but there was a big group globally doing the harmonic convergence, because there's 8 planets that were all being aligned. I think some of the Nassim group were on there. There were some meditators and shamans. So there's some beautiful stuff happening all over the world. And I think, Lena, you said it best. It's inside this battle. Just keep doing your work, keep bringing out your best, and that's your contribution, you know. That's
Well, I asked Crotolo on Sunday, very simple question: how do we win against the enemy? You know, how do we do it? And I cannot remember the answer.
ah.
So I look
Guys,
forward to the replay tomorrow night.
oh no, you don't have to wait for the replay, Lena, because I think you guys can just go on and watch it
On
on
demand?
demand. On demand, you can watch it on demand. I was in the temple. There's a picture in the temple. Let me see if I have the book and I can show you. Hold on, guys. I don't know if I have it. Hold on, hold on. Okay, I'm not going to be able to show it. It's not as big as I thought. Let's see if I have a better one. Maybe. Okay. Hold on, Bella. Let me show this picture. Okay, there is a picture here. That's one of the murals of the temple. In this mural here is a big battle. And you have these humans with this gray kind of forms. And I was like, wow, what is that battle? Well, that's the battle that we had, you know, with the enemy. And then I looked closely at the pictures, and the gray people that were fighting the humans were the same shape in the face. They were the opposite of, and I said, but we're fighting each other. He goes, yeah, that's it. And I said, okay, so what are the weapons? Like, what do we use? Art, creativity, love, all the things that put us in our bliss help us to overcome that opposite inside. So
And imagination.
yes, because the enemy cannot understand imagination. I have to feed my cat.
Priority.
She's looking at me. I'm like, come over here. Come over here. Voila. So yeah, we got it. We got the ingredients, guys. We got the ingredients.
Alessandra, are you wearing a personal self? Do you have
Yes.
a personal self?
I do.
Oh, let me see.
I got it because I travel a lot and I wanted something that allowed me to orient trees without me bringing, you know, the paintings and all that. So I can just touch them. So this was the only way. I had to get a personal self, and I got whatever level is to orient the trees.
Oh, bring it back. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so that's the.
Yeah.
That's
And
the,
do you feel it's worth its price in gold, so to speak?
Yeah, anything right now is worth its price in gold.
I know that too.
So any jewelry you want to get right now, go for it, because I think gold's gonna do really well.
Yeah.
So this is a good time to invest, and if it comes in a beautiful piece, why not? I mean, the layer, like I said, my purpose was there was no other way for me to be able to orient trees when I travel. And I mean, I haven't traveled in the last 6 months, but it's really nice to just be able to touch them. It's interesting. I definitely don't feel these guys. I also have disconnected to my spiro self. I've been, you know, the pen, the stilo self, that one, I connect with that one. That one is like, when I have that one on, I feel I'm astral traveling, in the sense that I'm not feeling I'm traveling, but I feel like I don't feel myself as this. I feel myself as lines.
Oh, wow.
So I have had, actually, I was playing with it last night, and it was a full moon. There was a full moon. Yeah, and I think that's why I just felt like, and it's not like it's a big thing, you know, it's just underneath my awareness that I can feel that it's changing my makeup. Like, it's cool. So I just don't have the same, I've used the still of self personally more. And I have some paintings, so they are, I think the more, and I feel they're getting stronger. Like my still of self it's 100 times, 1,000 times from when I bought it. So I've had it now for I think they're getting stronger. As more people work with them, as more people learn about them. So for these personal,
You're getting stronger. Yeah, I think that's what happens. We think it is, but it's actually us. We keep evolving, right? So you're feeling it more, I would say. Anyway, that's just,
yeah, like I did it last night, and I think it was because it was a full moon. I just started to play with it, and all of a sudden I was like, whoa. It's like I'm doing ayahuasca, but I'm just like, everything is just these shimmers of, and it's not big, it's not like this big woo thing, but it's just underneath my awareness that I can feel myself different in a different state. And it's potent. It's potent. So I definitely I like them, but this one was a very personal purpose. Do I feel it protecting me? I cannot say so much as I can tell you with the still of self.
Interesting. Okay. You don't have the Sphero self though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Oh my God.
Oh yeah, like the hook, line, and sinker, like I'm just like, yeah. Because also for that one, yeah, like I need the Sphero self to be able to orient the trees. Like it's, you need that to be able to connect all these devices. They're all connected somehow. So that's why I got what I got.
Got you.
It's like,
Thank you.
yeah. It's like, I want to orient the trees. Give me what I need. It's like, okay, we'll set you up. So there I was. Okay, beautiful people. I'm telling you, this next chapter is easy. We're gonna we can follow the book, but I'm just gonna read you my notes because I mean, we can follow the book, but it's just, I think, are you guys okay if I just read to you and then we discuss things?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Because I have, otherwise it seems complicated, but it's not. I'm just going to point them out to you. So I'm just going to name the different sources of energies, and some are going to be really cool. Some of them were a little bit eerie for me because I have been following a group on social media to, hopefully, give me another point of view of what's going on politically. And some of the things that I was learning about energy, we talked about the dark and the light. And you can tell that also people that work for the dark side are using this knowledge, and so it's good for you to know these things. It's valuable information. So in order to do magic, we need energy. And it's not the energy like plugging into the wall. It's a different kind of energy. This is really esoteric energy. And there's lots of it. You just need to know what you're doing. And that's why you need a teacher that teaches you. So this chapter is on identifying all those different sources of energy. And the chapter starts exactly by saying that. And I can just read the first paragraph. I can read the first page 163. We'll set it up, and then I'll give you my notes. So energy sources for magic technology, page 163. Now, does anybody else want to read? No, you want me to read? Okay. Okay, no, okay, I'll read. You just follow along. Okay. To conduct any sort of operation, when one is working with magic, it is necessary to have energy available. And although this concept is certainly not exclusive to magic, clearly energy. To be precise, a transformation of energy is necessary for any physical event. Yeah, and that's true. Even if not magic, you need energy to catalyze a change. In magic technologies, we are often dealing with forms of energy that are so particular and elusive that they are still unknown, or only vaguely theorized about in ordinary physics. In this chapter, we shall be talking about the principal forms of energy as well as about their sources. The primary consideration in this discussion is the energy. Okay, so let me stop there because the other one, so I think that's important. Now, the fundamental unit, so I'm not an electrician, but I guess we have 250 hertz in a light bulb. That's how we measure electricity in our world. In the world of energy for magical operation, it's not the hertz, it's called vital units. Okay, so that's the difference. We use, I'm just comparing to the bulbs, 60 hertz, 40 hertz, 20 hertz. That and the electrical current gives you that voltage, 120 volts or whatever. In magical operation, we are working with energy under the name of vital units. And then they give us something very humbling. What's a vital unit look like? So that you have an idea. So let me see where that is. So, yeah, this is where, remember thought? We had 2 minutes of thought in a lifetime. Okay, so an enlightened being who lives very consciously with full awareness creates one vital unit. So an enlightened being creates, in a lifetime of 66 years, create one vital unit. If you're not enlightened, you need 12,000 people to create one vital unit. That's on page 164. Just another humbling moment. So that's what vital unit is the consciousness. So it's just to give us, this is when we talk about humans and what we produce. And then we have to see, well, how much does a vital unit allow you to do, So I wanted to just set that up. So the principal form of energy in magic, it's called vital units. A vital unit is the fundamental system of measure in the field of energies linked to magical technology. And a vital unit it's equal to the 66 years of a life of an enlightened being, or 12,000 individuals living 66 years to create one vital unit. So there you go. And human perception is energy. So human perception is energy. Remember with the demiurge, the world of ideas starts and the idea needs to be perceived by forms in order to be able to become a material form. You guys might have missed that. It was the demiurge, which is the beginning of the material world. And so perception, we learned, was fundamental. If that form was not perceived by enough different species, it couldn't sustain an archetype. It would just go away. So perceptions is a form of energy, human perception and also animal perceptions. They're all energies you can tap into. So important thing to note, humans in the course of a life produce energies and are the filter through which all other forms of energy must pass before they're usable from a human standpoint. Okay, that was just a statement on page 163. I don't think I'm fully clear, but somehow we need to be involved in the extraction and transformation of the energy. That's how I read that. So it's just a note. Let's just keep that in the back. So human produce vital energy that they use. Okay, so this is interesting too. So as humans, we produce the vital energy, but we use it for our physical existence. So we're not meant to use that for magical operations, okay? It's not what we are called upon to do, because then it wouldn't be good for us. But what we can do, there are systems that allow us to accumulate energy. So magicians don't use their own vital energy, okay, to do magic. So the second one, so this is sort of, what is the energy that's used in the magical world? It's called vital units. You get a bit of an idea of what a vital unit is. Now we are going to talk about sources of energies, sources that create vital units, and there are, I'm going to just name them for you. There's the human source, there's the divine source, there's the grail, there's the synchronic lines, and then, this is cool, the anomalous objects. Ooh, they're very cool. Some of you probably have heard about these.
What page are you on here?
Oh, okay. Those, yeah. These are my notes. So let me just go through. So the human would be on page 165 for the humans. The human source is on page 165, and the divine reservoir is also touched on in page 165. I'm going to read them. I just wanted to give you the names. Then we have the grail. Then we have the synchronic lines, the anomalous objects, and non-substance substance, and other classifications of energy. But we have 5, 6, 7 main categories, if you want, of energy sources, and we'll go through them. So let's start with page 165. So remember, we don't want to use our vital energy because we need that for our life. So how do we then create vital units without using our vital energy? This is called metratura, page 165. So let me, so on the second paragraph of page 165, I'm going to read the second and third paragraphs. So under the human source of vital units, the source of vital units are first and foremost coming from living forms, animals as well as humans, but this energy is difficult to conserve, so it is therefore preferable to use it directly and immediately. Through practice such as metratura, which is sacred dance, rituals, and other forms of sacred art, the energetic potential that every individual is capable of producing can be multiplied, allowing for the extraction of more than a single vital unit of energy in a very short time, as in the various practices that charge cabins for time travel. So, Chacha, you were asking before, how can we also help, how can we put some information into the synchronic lines? I know it's a little different question, but anything that you do brings sacredness, especially if you're involved in an artistic project or you're creating a ritual for yourself, bring the sacredness of that action, because if you do that indirectly, you're creating vital energy. And so I don't know if you, in your own way can hold it in a crystal that then you put it in a garden, or you hold it in a crystal and you say the next time there's somebody having difficulty, you go to the crystal. Like, these ideas, you play with them. You become your own magicians, your own alchemist, okay? But know that when you are involved in an act of artistic expression, you are creating an excess of energy. And if you want to channel that somehow, you can in some of your you know, objects. Think of, anyways, it's just a thought. I'm just giving you, when I read this, I mean, this is why they do sacred dance and things like that. Does that make sense to you guys? Is that?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just, you know, we're holding it because we're crystalline to, you know, we're turning into that, I believe. So yeah, I just think it just our energy alone, you know, it touches everybody more than we
radiating.
understand mostly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the way that we amplify what we can output in vital units, and in these and in Damanhur or in places where people know this stuff, they probably use containers where people, when they're doing this kind of work, they donate the energy to be held in a container so it can be used. That's one of the ideas. You start to think that way. Then there are divine reservoirs, and that's just the next paragraph down. Other containers of vital energies are divine reservoirs, where souls of the departed deposit the fraction of vital unit they were able to produce during their lifetime. This energy is no longer useful to them after death, since the soul no longer resides in the world of matter. It is then necessary, so the person dies, the divinity that controls that area inherits this vital unit or this portion of vital unit. Now, if you don't have that divinity under control, you're never going to tap into that vital unit. That divinity is going to use it for itself. That's why the triad operation, to bring together all the divine forces of the humankind under a controlled group, was important, because now they can control all this energy. So you start to see the brilliance of all the things we heard that they've done, that at first seemed, why would they do this? But now you understand the important mechanics and the brilliance behind everything they did. So simple, but in the world of magic, fundamental to having success. Then this is also really interesting. This is at page 166. I want to read it to you guys. I think I'm going to use my Cold Notes version. So what I learned in this chapter that wasn't known before is, remember when we did the chapter on time, the divinities, they close their eyes and they go to sleep, and 66 years usually pass, and when the divine force opens its eyes, it lasts for 3-4 years, but whatever happens during those 3-4 years, which is happening right now, is very potent, because as they're falling asleep, the neutral events, remember those events that fall from the fall of neutral events that don't get used, they stay in that time packet. The divinity, as it's falling asleep, it's collecting, it's absorbing all those neutral events. So that's a lot of untapped potential. So when it opens its eyes, guess what? That's the energy that Falco used. He woke up the divine force so that he can tap into that energy and split the plane of time. That's what he tapped into. So there is incredible energy that the divinity contains, holds within itself as it's closing its eyes. It's collecting all of the neutral events that have not been used, not all, but most. And during its time that it's asleep, these 66 years, it's coloring those events, and it's ready. It's like a big surge of energy when it opens up. They've just been contained, and then they're ready to manifest. So that's why, so that's a big energy that they used to do the time operation. And that's on page 166, but you have to go through it. I couldn't pull it all in one sentence. Like, I had to read the whole page and then just summarize it. And then we get a little definition of what is a magician. And I want to read that to you. I think, so what is a magician on page 166? Just to put it in perspective, you know, here we're learning about all these different sources. So what does the magician do? Because I think we're all magicians. A magician is therefore first and foremost an individual who has the necessary knowledge to extract, accumulate, and manage energy, which is then transformed into vital units for use. Da, 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 da. And a portion of this energy is this. Oh, so this is that's what a magician does. That's what I think we would learn in a class of alchemy. So we will learn how to gather, extract, accumulate all this energy. Then how do we use it? How does a magician use this energy? A portion of the energy is distributed among magical instruments and tools. And these tools can give this energy a specific direction. A portion of the energy can be conserved in a temple, a container. And what else? And like Chacha said, where is the other one? A portion is condensed in the temple, and another portion must go to being conscious energy represented by sentient forces, whether they be divine forces or lower level entities. Oh, so wait. If I read this, let me read this again, okay, guys? I want your input on this. So a magician is therefore first and foremost an individual who has the necessary knowledge to extract, accumulate, and manage energy, which is then transformed into vital units for use. One, they use part of the energy to distribute among magical instruments. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Then the last paragraph on page 166, a portion of the energy is conserved in the temples, and another portion must go to being conscious energy represented by sentient forces, whether they be divine forces or lower level entities. So am I to read this and saying that you need a divinity, you need to hold that energy, like I gave it a name of a crystal, but do you need to give it to Horus? Do you need to give it to, you know, a divine force? How do you guys read that? The bottom of page 166. I'm going to read it again. Focus the energy that you've accumulated to that. A portion of the energy in a temple, okay, people like the temple in Damanhur, right? And now it looks like you need to also, another place you can store this energy is with sentient beings, with sentient forces. So you do need gods or what do you call, what's another word for them? You need things to worship almost.
Deities. Yeah, deities.
Yeah, you need something to be able to put the energy into,
right,
so that you can then, you know, you store it there. Anyways, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So that was just.
It, but maybe they'll tell us how to make sense of it.
I mean, that's what it sounds like, because I know that in Damanhur, if you go, people have magical objects. I've seen them walk around with magical objects. I've also, sorry? Did somebody say something? No. They also have the temple, so they would put, and they also each, a lot of the different homes have the little statue of Falco. So I wonder if for them, they give this energy to the force of Falco. I wonder, because we've made comments about that, but that might be one of the reasons, is if you are doing magical generating of energy, you need containers to hold it. So that might be why they are using Falco as well as other things. Now, the third form of energy is the Grail, and this is on page 167. Okay, so and this starts on page 67. Among the higher level forces Particular attention should be given to the concept of the Grail, which is a source of energy with so much power that a human mind can scarcely conceive of its potential unless it has been adequately prepared. You hear many times of people opening temples and dying. I wonder if this is what's at play. They tap into these huge forces and they're just can't hold the charge. The Grail represents the archetype for all energy reservoirs. It measures out energy for turgic magical operation that modify divine energy and the nature of divinities themselves. So this is a very potent energy because it can modify divinities and allows any type of energy to be transformed in any other type. So the Grail is a very potent energy. The function of the Grail only comes into play for very high level or complex operations because of the vast amount of knowledge needed to work with such an immense power, a power which cannot actually be controlled but can only be called upon. The Grail is also the only possible container in which the transformation of energy that occurs during operation of turgic magic when you are modifying divine forces can take place. So when you are modifying divine forces, you need energy to go in there and modify them. But when the energy that comes from that change that you've created also needs a container to hold that charge. So it's almost like the Grail is the container for both. But that makes sense. I've heard so many stories when people open temples and they die, because probably these forces that are in there are so powerful, they fry their energetic system. So the Grail is also the only possible container in which the transformation of energy that occurs during operation of turgic magic can take place. For more information, we'll talk about the Grail at the last chapter. Beautiful, that takes care of that, of the Grail. And now we talk about the synchronic lines, and that starts at the bottom of page 167. So synchronic lines are big sources of energy. So from these synchronic line, now remember the lines, the important points are the knots where two lines meet. So from those synchronic knots where the two lines meet, this is at the bottom of page 167, we may also often find another form of energy called event minds or time minds, which are actually a natural accumulation of neutral events that have not manifested physically, also called unsaturated events. So here it comes again. So we've got the divine force, the divinities, and when they're closing their eyes, they gather some of the neutral events that create a big explosion when they open again their eyes. And now also at the synchronic knots, where the lines, the minor synchronic lines are, it also is accumulating these neutral energies, these neutral events. They're also being accumulated there. So in these areas, there's that potential as well. And now we're going to learn something else. So close to synchronic knots, where the two or more synchronic lines meet, you have minds, time minds, and they are collecting neutral events that are unsaturated, that have not been used. Whatever's left that the divinity hasn't used gets used by these guys, and it stays in the subterranean structures. And using the right techniques, this is on page 168, using the right techniques, all of these neutral events can be extracted, liberated from their potential, which may have lain unexpressed for a very long time. This sort of energy has also been used in time travel technology. Time mines can be natural formation, often mountains or caves, or man-made structures such as temple built on the right spot in which case they are referred to as artificial minds. So what I want to take you to is the last paragraph on page 168 is, so think of this, these synchronic knots. Have I lost you guys? You guys okay? Yeah, you're good, you're good. These synchronic knots accumulate the neutral events that have not been used, and they are containers of energy. They stay blocked into these rocks. So if you want to extract them, what do you have to do? You got to liberate the stone. So then we go the second to the last paragraph. So the first thing that must be done in order to extract these neutral events is therefore to liberate the area so that air can circulate. In fact, this process was given particular attention during the excavation of the temples of humankind, so that they would also function as time mines. Do you guys understand what's going on? Unbelievable. So the circulation of air through the various rooms in hallway is what transports the extracted energy, which is then amplified by the paintings and sculptures among the walls. So why do they make art in the temple? So in fact, art has a fundamental role in the management of energy, and all the art found in the temple should be viewed as a system of energy production, amplification, and management. There was also a special circuit of measure used in the excavation of these underground temples. A time unit, which is a fraction of a vital unit. So we have the vital unit, which is the main unit. A time unit is a fraction of it, and a time unit is 220 buckets of stone. So why did they excavate the temple bucket by bucket? Because they needed to know how much vital units they were excavating. Because every bucket, every 220 buckets was one time unit, which equal to a fraction of a vital unit. So if you're a magician and you need vital units for operations, you better know how many vital units you have. So you're going to count your buckets one by one. They've done nothing by chance. Isn't it?
Amazing. It's fascinating. Yeah.
You know, you look at them and you think they're like, okay, but everything is precise. Okay, so.
I have to leave you guys. I got to go, but I'm going to say goodbye to you all.
Ciao,
yeah, see you next time. Ciao.
See you next time. Ciao, Bella. Ciao.
Bye-bye.
So that is that. Yeah. And then what also happened is, so that's a big source of energy. Now you can imagine when they added to this vital units, the concatenation technology, that all of a sudden these vital units can be, one vital unit can be magnified 100 times or 1,000 times. So it gave them a lot of power to do a lot of the other operations they've done. So so this is on page 169, and it talks about the technology for extracting energy from the synchronic lines has changed a great deal in the last few years following the application of the revolutionary technology mentioned concatenation. Once again, that's okay. Thanks to these new possibilities, which is the third paragraph, thanks to these new possibility, access to previously unreachable underground synchronic knots was granted. And over the last few years, a series of systems, such as the cosmic spindle at the Baita and the binary rail system within the temple, were created to extract energy from these points were developed. So not only do they have the temple where they are collecting vital time units that convert to vital units, now with this concatenation technology, they can place it in the temple and extract energy from the knots deeper down and store whatever they get in the cosmic spindle one of their other technology. These are storage places for these energies. I know that the Baita is a place, I don't know if that's where they do the oracle, but I know they do magical operations there. So they probably need access to energy, and the vital units that are extracted from the temple and these other means are probably stored in these spindles. So that's just to give you an idea. And then they just continue on the fourth paragraph. Compared to the previous system that were in place for the extraction of energy, these new systems are truly devices of an industrial scale, pumping as a much greater amount of energy than before. So these, what they were able to extract from the synchronic knots with this concatenation, it really exploded, and they then used different storing containers for this energy. So we talked about the synchronic knots. And then this is the other source, and this is so much fun. Oh my God, because everything we studied come together. So this is on page 171, and is an for the complexity contain certain carbon. What is more? Is an inert form. Hold on, let me just. Okay. 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 No, I went a little bit ahead of myself. Oh my God. So we now got the extraction from the synchronic lines, and now let's talk about so far an anomalous object. What is an anomalous object? So that's at the bottom of 170. So what makes, okay, wait, I think it starts a little bit before. Let me see. Okay, now let us, okay, so this is starts at the bottom of page 169, and these are called anomalous objects, okay? These are fun, these are really fun. So now let us move on to one of the most unusual forms of energies expressed by anomalous objects. So we've got the other ones, but this is this name. These are objects that have an anomalous relationship with the laws. So now we know what the laws are, right? Every object has a mix of laws inside of them. So this object has something particular happening with the way the laws, the 8 laws, manifest in them. And therefore, the laws manifest an imbalance in these objects, in their rapport with the forces, or they may even lack certain laws. So let me explain. So these objects, every form here has the 8 laws to some degree. If some laws are way more and some are not in this object, all of a sudden, the potential for this object to behave differently is really high. So if this object has a lot more of the synchronic law, guess what? Being around it amplifies the law of synchronicity, and all of a sudden you've got a very potent object to magnify synchronicity in your life. If you've got more of the law of complexity, then this object becomes able to pull in the law of complexity and evolution. So around this object, stuff is going to move way faster. So these objects are very, very valuable. And I don't know how you find them, but if you ever come across something that doesn't look like the others, I wonder if it's an anomalous object. So they use, so they give some examples. So what makes, so at the second paragraph of page 170, what makes these objects so valuable is the fact that they highlight aspect of the law that are not visible in normal objects because there is usually a sort of reciprocal relationship that manifests in the law. But because there's this discrepancy, these objects behave differently. So for example, if an object has a greater amount of synchronicity compared to its quality of other laws, it would probably display a noticeably higher amount of synchronic phenomenon around it. And so these objects are very precious for research. And also remember, if you want to be a magician, you want to know how to manipulate the laws. And if you know the codes of the laws, you can manipulate the laws. So if you have an object that is going to amplify how the law works, and you study it, you're going to get the code of that law a lot easier than in an object where it's all, you know, they all blend together. You won't be able to get a sense of how the synchronic law works or the code for the synchronic law. Is that? So they give one example. So this is second to last paragraph or third to last. One of the most curious and valuable anomalous object is the torsion knot, which has a very strong anomaly in its complexity ratio. Physically, it's simply a quartz-bearing rock, but it is found only near synchronic knots. From an energetic point of view, it is a blend of synchronicity, event minds, and unsaturated free will. Okay. The combination of necessary conditions that contribute to the formation of this incredible structure is so complex that these objects are extremely rare. So forget all the other difficult stuff. The most important thing is there's quartz rocks that carry these laws in a much more potent way, and they have incredible energy. So in the second paragraph on page 171, what is more, because the torsic knot is an inanimate form, it does not have the possibility of expressing this enormous amount of complexity. It contains it. So that's the other thing. These objects are not like me and you, like they're just, so they can't use it. It's all available to us. So recall that a form's complexity is expressed in, okay, that's okay. So this phenomenon consists in the emission of a sort of, so what does it do? Like it contains all this energy, contains like in this torsic knot, high level complexity. It has an impact. Listen to this. This is second to last paragraph on page 171. This phenomenon consists in the emission of a sort of force field, as though it were an extension of an aura that can extend through time and space for many light years, overlaying any other form it finds in its path. The consequence of this phenomenon is that all the memories of these forms, regardless of their nature, are reflected in the torsic knot. The knot therefore becomes a source of so much information that it would be impossible to contain it all in the memories of events, even our newest and most powerful computers. So it's an incredible amount of energy and information. And it's because these objects have this disparity of the laws manifested in them, and because they are just objects. They can't express it, they contain it. So these are huge sources of energy. They're very rare, but when they find these objects, they can use them for magical operations, and they are used for what they is. So in magical technologies, this is at the end of page 171, in magical technologies, these objects are indispensable for the assembling of psycho-elaborators, which are structures that enable the processing of particularly complex data. So it's almost like they add a force of energy that allows them to do these magical computations. So it's all in the world of magic, but they're very important. The one thing with them though, once you use them, they get, you can only use them, they don't last forever. Once they're used, they give you that burst of energy and then they are no longer usable. Let me say natural without, it's fundamental, I think this is at the bottom of page 172. Its fundamental characteristic is that it can be shaped, no, that's something else. No, that's something else. So I think I read somewhere, if we compare it to a computer, this will be a hard drive. For more, the nature that creates these. Okay, so the natural, this is just to explain how they're created. The natural mechanism that creates these objects, these anomalous objects, is not particularly known. So it is currently impossible to reproduce it by means of technology, because it'd be great if we knew how to do it. Furthermore, these objects are extremely hard to find as they are very rare indeed. And if we add this to the fact that certain types of calculations can only be done with psycho-elaborators, this being indispensable when carrying out certain magical operation, we begin to understand how valuable these fragments of rocks can be. So maybe this explanation of the psycho-elaborator, remember they contain a lot of energy, these rocks? Not energy, they contain a lot of information. Maybe that's what's being used, is the information. That's what the psycho-elaborators, that's why they need them. It's for the information they carry of matter. And it's a form of energy. But I thought those were cool. The only other one, guys, that's, I mean, there's the last, you want to finish out? We'll just have two more. I promise I'll just give them to you quickly. The other one is called the non-substance substance, NSS, on page 172, 173. It's a substance that hovers between matter and energy like a mist. It's about 12 inches off the ground and 60 inches off the ground, it can be. It's very sensitive, so it's destroyed easily, but can be in pristine environments. There's more of this mist. Probably that's why we feel good in areas where we don't have too many humans and it's just nature. And this is a kind of substance that can thicken, and they can use it for magical operation. It's something that they can use. It's a mist between the real, between a form and a non-form. So maybe an in-between place, like the plasma in our blood, I guess. Let's look at it that way. But this is also a form of energy. They give an example that this is what sometimes people can experience if they're walking in the woods and they have a visual of an image of a gnome, and then the gnome materializes. It's because this kind of substance is at play, materializing the thoughts of the person. So this is the kind of subtle energy that this is, but it can be harvested, tapped into. And then there is, on the last two pages, they talk about all kinds of different classification of energy. They say there are 31 fundamental types of energy. We've covered 5 or 6 now. And there's different classification. They talk about vital energy, time energy, velocity, and the attractors. Attractors are also energy. So as you can see, there is a lot of sources of energy, but if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to tap into it. But for me, what was interesting is the vital units that humans create, and that when we are in rituals, where we are doing spiritual things, we are accumulating energy. So to maybe play with that for yourself, if you have a project, play with that and put that energy into your project. Like, play with these concepts so you can have some fun with them in your life. That's it, beautiful ladies. Do you have some questions? That was a lot. We covered a lot. That was a lot. There was a lot of information. Is it fun? Is it interesting to?
It's fun. I would just like to be able to adapt it to my life. There's some gaps here from theoretical and awesome, mind-blowing theoretical to how do I use this?
Well, I'll tell you, just reviewing it with you guys, I'm right now doing, I'm converting these Zoom calls into a podcast. So you can imagine trying to distill this into half-an-hour tidbits. And I think this creative process, instead of being, you know, pulling my hair out at times, I think I'm going to start, I don't know if I have some, you know, objects that I can start storing this energy into, or maybe even to my spiro self, and see if that amplifies what it's doing. So just to be more conscious in the steps that I'm taking, and not just saying, oh, it's just, you know, I'm just doing this work, but to maybe give more meaning to this work. Whatever I produce in this expression of my work, I want to store it in my spiro self, or I want to store it in my crystal for use in helping somebody, or for use in my next project, or for use to, like, I'm just gonna, when I was going through this with you guys, that's what was coming through to me. So play with that, you know. Why not? We now have some data we didn't have before. Yeah, I have some feathers. I might put some of this energy into, and then when I use my feathers, you know, clear me, I'm not having a good day. I don't know, like, I don't know, but why not? Who's stopping us? You know, I don't think, I think deep down inside, we've all done this already before. That's probably why we're all here listening to this. There's got to be a reason, because you've got to have had this before in order to be called to do this, you know. So just let it bathe over you. I know for me, to bring these words out to you in a more simplified way is important. I don't know why it feels important, but it does. So you see how this works you, you know. I think, you know, if I find a stone one day that, you know, calls me, hey, maybe there's something in this little stone. I don't know, but definitely the work I'm going to do, I think I'm going to be more conscious and maybe look at it more as a ritual of offering than just as work, you know. Could be interesting. Does that give you some ideas, Lena?
Alessandra, you know, I haven't thought a lot about magic over the years, and I never read or saw the Harry Potters, which is curious to me as to why I never have. But so I guess my question is, would do they use this energy in those movies? Would that be a good example of some of this, or?
Yes. I think that Harry Potter, the looking spyglass, the looking spyglass, you know, when they were cutting the demons and they were using the energy to propel themselves in another world, totally vital units, you know. I'm trying to see, when I refer to Hogwarts, it's more of the fact that these kids are walking around knowing they're magicians, and they just have to remember how to use, learning skills to bring out these hidden skills and potential they have. So in the Harry Potter, it's not so much that they are similar ideas. What is similar is time where Hermione can split herself and be at two places at once. Definitely the evil guy, you know, the evil force is there. I think the Ember Spyglass is like when I was looking at some of these technologies, and I have to go back and see it, but the Ember Spyglass is black magic for sure, based on some of the stuff. I don't have it clear in my mind, but when it's that one seems closer. Harry Potter is more for me about the fact that we are magicians and that it's an innate way of being, and that we have lost touch with that reality, with that knowledge about ourselves. And Harry Potter, to me, made it real. And I often say, I feel like the Mughals are outside and all of us are in here because we can have discussions that are not the norm. We're not buying into the mainstream. So I use more Harry Potter in that kind of way. But it is a beautiful series, and I would definitely look at the Ember Spyglass. That should not be a children's book. It's got a lot of this weaved into the magic, and it was the Ember Spyglass or the Looking Glass. I think it's the Ember Spyglass. There's three. There's a series of three.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Eva, did you want to say something?
No.
No, you're good. You're good. Okay, listen, we did a great job. Bravo.
Yeah. That was the Magic Compass series.
It was a Magic Compass. So it's the Magic Compass, the Ember Spyglass, and there was another. There's three of them, right? Lena, do you remember? Do you remember?
I have them by my bed. I will look.
Yeah, I remember that when they were trying to open, to get energy to enter the other worlds, they had to separate the kids from their demons to get the powers.
And their demons were their animals.
Their demons were their animals, were the good guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was dark. That was black magic hidden in the weaves of a kid's book. I want to go back and listen to it again just to see what they have. That one to me is very close to some of the technologies here. Yeah. Cool. So listen, we're not going to answer all these things today, but we definitely took out of the pages words to think about things a little differently. Bravi.
Thank you, Alessandra.
You're so welcome, beautiful one. We'll see you all on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
I have, we are translating the 19 categories, and I've got the pictures for the Atlantis. So I'm going to send you, give me a couple of days. I just want to make sure the translation is okay, because we're
Wow.
Okay. Where do we find the replays? Is there a website Jennifer talks about?
Yes. If you go to, okay, hold on, did I not send it to you? Let me see. Let me just
Can you send it again? I don't recall getting it, but
it might be, hold on, let me just, it might be on our website. If you just go to our website, hold on, link for the replays. Okay, hold on, I might be able to give you that right now. So I gave you list, no, hold on. No, that's Atlantis. You got the replays, hold on.
You have Coyote, but not Crotalo.
Yeah.
Not Crotalos.
Yeah.
Give me
Except
a second.
on Wednesday nights, which is.
Yeah, no, hold on. I'm going to give you that. Hold on, everybody. Don't go away. Hold on. Okay, so recordings are available on demand. Let me just follow this link. Okay, no, it's not a link. Hold on. Give me a second, because I might be able to find this now. Hold on. No, it didn't give that to me. She didn't give that to me there. Ladies, just give me a second. I just have to go through recorded and available on demand. Let me ask her. I thought I had it here. Thought I had it here. Let me just go through. Course links. No, I don't have it here. No, you know what? Let me links to replays. Hold on. Links to replays. No, those are the Vimeo ones. Okay, I'm gonna have to ask her. I'm gonna ask her and I'm gonna send it to you. I thought I had it, I don't. Because I didn't send it to you and I just went through her emails and I didn't see. So I'll get the links.
Great.
Great, thank you.
So, because you guys can watch those on demand because you've all paid for the whole series. So, and you have everything for Coyote. Sunday, we do 3 hours again. And we start going a little deeper into our
Coyote at 8 o'clock in the morning.
For you, Bella, it's always 11:30. So what time is it in BC? 8:30 for you? Yeah, 8:30 for you in BC.
Okay, so we have Coyote on Sunday and Crotalo as well.
Yeah. For the next
Okay.
month, yeah, it's a busy. I'm not doing Crotalo, but you can watch the Crotalos on demand. So once I get you guys the link, you can watch it.
Watch it whenever.
Yeah.
I can watch it, but as long as I know that it's happening.
Then you can be
So
ready.
that is August the 9th.
August the 9th, yeah. We'll do that. Beautiful people.
Okay,
Go
great.
with
Great
Grace.
fun.
Go with Grace. Ciao, bravi.
Bye. Bye,
Thank
all.
you. Good night.
Oh, ciao, bye.
Night.
Bye. Good night, you guys.